Hey folks, my name is David Faltzgraf, and I'm the founder and lead sound designer here at SundaySounds.com. We're really excited to be able to provide you with high-quality, song-specific MainStage patches for today's most popular modern worship songs. Using our MainStage patches, you can nail these songs live, even if you're not using backing tracks and you're the only keyboard player. The great thing about all our MainStage patches is that you don't need any expensive third-party plugins or software. You just need MainStage 3 running on any modern Mac computer, and you can use these patches live. We've designed this patch at the original tempo and in the original key of the song, but there's a video tutorial on the product page that you can check out after you've purchased the patch if you need to do the song in a different key or at a different tempo than the original. To make things even easier for you, we've pre-mapped this patch to our Sunday Keys MainStage template. So if you have Sunday Keys, you can just drag and drop this patch right into your concert, and it will be pre-mapped to the extra section. There's no setup work or mapping required. Just drag it in, you're ready to play. Now I'm going to hand this over to Ryan, who's going to walk you through the various sections of the patch to teach you how to use it to nail this song live. Let's take a look.
Hey everyone, Ryan from Sunday Sounds here. Now before we actually get into playing this patch, there are just a few things I want to go over with you that are more on the MainStage side. And so the first thing to note is that this patch is set up so that when you play, there's the arps or the sequenced parts. Beat 1 occurs whenever you push the key on your keyboard. And that can be really handy if you're playing to an external click or even a MainStage click. However, some people can sometimes find it a bit hard to stay on synced in with a click. So I'm going to show you how, if you wanted, you could change the arps so that beat 1 will occur based on MainStage's internal clock time. So I'm just going to open up one of the arps here. You'll want to do this for all the channel strips with the arpeggiator plugin. Open this one here. You're just going to go over to the keyboard tab and then change the input snap to link to rate. And you'll want to do that for all the arps again. So that will make it so that even if you're a little late pushing it, it's going to sync into MainStage's internal clock as far as the tempo goes. Now, the downside of that is if you're a little late pushing it, it can shift over the sequence so that it'll still sound, it'll be on time technically, but the accents won't be on the correct beat. So just kind of figure out which way you like to go, what's more easy. I find it much more easy to have it so that beat 1 is when I push the note, and if I get out of time, I can just kind of release really quick and push down again. Okay, so this patch, like most of our song-specific patches, makes use of the mod wheel. And we're going to use that to move in and out through different sections of the song. Now, if you don't have a mod wheel, that's okay. We've got a tutorial over on our website, and that's going to show you how you can set up a fader or a knob to work in place of the mod wheel, so you can still maintain full functionality of this patch. Okay. So we've got this set up to work in essentially 3 different sections. So from 0 to 50, we're going to use that for our verse. And then from anywhere from 50 to 100, that's going to be our area for, or rather, sorry, 50 to 75 is going to be our choruses and our bridge. And then at the very top, that's going to be for our final chorus. And we're just bringing in a couple different sounds when we hit that very max range. I'm just going to go ahead and play and just show you how the mod wheel reacts real quick. So if we're in our verse sections with the mod wheel down to 50, we've got a pad in this middle range, a glockenspiel and piano lead up in the right, and as we push into the 50 range, we start to fade in an organ. So that would sound something like this. Now once we hit about 50, we have an arp that's going to come in the left end of the octave here. And so that sounds like this. We're going to use that for our choruses. And then as we push into 75, that arp's going to stay there, but we're actually just going to drop this octave here in the left hand and move into this range. We're going to have a sequenced synth line that's going to be used for our bridge. And then we also have some strings that come in. And at the very top, we've got just that same kind of pattern that we had before with the arp, but we're going to add a glockenspiel arpeggio on top. It sounds like this. So we'll actually go ahead and walk through each section of the song so that this makes a lot more sense and where you'll actually play these sounds. So we're going to start off the song. We've got an instrumental, and we're going to keep the mod wheel at 0. In the left hand, we're going to play in this octave range, so where we have that pad. And we're just going to hold out on the G, and that's going to be a droning pad that's going to work over all the chords in the song. And that sounds like this. Now, when the verse starts, we're going to add the glockenspiel piano lead in the right hand. And that would be something like this. And we're actually just going to follow that vocal melody line with the right hand here. Now, as we move into verse 2, we're going to bump the mod wheel up to just up to about 50 or a little lower, depends on how big you want verse 2 to be. And that's just going to fade in that organ sound in the right hand. So we have that same idea, just holding the pad. We'll actually just keep holding this through and then play the same exact melody line. So I'll play starting a little farther into the verse. So the only time we're really going to change from that G on the droning pad is the very last chord of the verse. We'll do this for verse 1 and verse 2. We're going to go from the G to the C, and that's just going to change a couple of the chord triggers on the pad. And it's going to get us ready to go right into the chorus. Now, since we've already got the mod wheel at about 50, we're already set to go right into the chorus. All we're going to do is add in the left end of the octave in our left hand. Now, really, you don't even have to play the upper end, but I like to kind of keep those pads going. So that's up to you how you want to do that. But you can make it as simple as just playing this lower note. I'm going to go ahead and play through that chorus really quick, and then I'll break it down. Okay, so that's chorus 1, and just octaves in the left hand, pretty simple. Now we've got just the arp that's in there, and then we've got this swelling synth type pad. And really, it's just as simple as following the chords that were displayed in the top of the video. Now, as we move from chorus 1, we're going to go into verse 3. And so verse 3 is going to be identical to verse 2. All we're going to do to jump into that is just drop out the lower end of that octave, and we're right back in to the verse. Now we're going to play through that verse and then go into chorus 2. Now chorus 2 is the exact same as chorus 1 except for one difference. So at the very end of chorus 2, we're going to go into a G chord instead of just ending on that C. And so we're going to hold out that G chord, and then for a little bit, and while we do that, you can kick the mod wheel up to about the middle. And then when it's time to go into that instrumental, we're just going to play the G in this octave range. I'll go through from the end of chorus 2. I'm going to kick the mod wheel up and then go into the instrumental just so you can see how that transition looks. And that sounds like this. Okay, so as simple as that. Now, that sequence synth line there, you can actually just push that G and hold the pedal like I did, and then we're right into the instrumental, which is pretty similar to the bridge. And so as you noticed, I actually started to creep it up over here on the mod wheel even more, and that's just going to actually increase the volume of that sequence synth line. So we're going to hold that out for 8 bars, that 8 measures, and then we're going to start in on the bridge. And so as you hold that out, like I said, creep that up, and then in the right hand we're going to come in with a string line, and we're going to add that lower octave back in the left hand, and that'll be our bridge. And so that sounds like this. I'm going to start a little from that instrumental. Okay, so in the right hand, we've got that string line. And so I'll just play through that a little slower. It sounds like this. And that's it. We'll actually repeat that line over all the chord changes. Left hand, we're just doing octaves, following those chords up top. And so as we move out of that bridge, we're actually going to give it that final push. It's going to bring in that glockenspiel in the left hand, and then that's going to be used for our third and final chorus. And so in the right hand, you can keep that line going if you want, or if you want to stay more true to the album, you can just go and just do the root note of the chords. And so with that glockenspiel, it's going to sound like this for the third chorus. So really similar to our other chorus, just adding in that right hand part. Now at the very end, we fade back down, and so all you have to do is we're going to be on that G chord. So just take the mod wheel and pull it down. It's going to fade out that arp in the left hand. So that would be something like this. And so that'll actually take us back essentially to where we were in the verse, where we've got that droning pad going. And you can actually hold it out in the left hand as well for that. It's going to just add a little extra of a pad texture on there. And you can just hold out on that octave G for the rest of the fade out of the song. So the one other thing I wanted to note is just where you play the chords. And so we've got our G in this range here. Now, the main thing to know is that when we do E minor, we're not going down, we're going up to our E minor. So our E minor is going to be here for that upper octave range, and for the lower range here. Reason that we're not going to go down is because on a 61 key keyboard, you can start to run out of notes if you have to transpose this patch. And so we want to make sure that this patch, you can transpose it to whatever key you want to play in. So that is why that is set up that way. So yeah, just real quick, we've got our G, C will be here, E minor, B minor, and then so if you look at some of the chord charts, there's actually chords that we haven't covered, especially in the verse. We've got like a D over F sharp, stuff like that, A minor. So if you actually wanted to play those chords in the left hand, you could. We've got chord triggers set up. You don't have to. As far as I can hear on the album, it's just droning on that G, but depending on your arrangement of the song, you might want to add those in, so you do have the option to. So that's really all I've got on this patch. There are so many awesome layers. This album by Hillsong, they did some intense just synth work and programming, so we tried to include every single sound that we could hear on the record. which also means that depending on your machine, it might push it a little hard. My machines run fine. I've actually ran this patch on my 2012 MacBook Pro, and it does just fine. But if you have an older machine, or maybe you haven't upgraded your older machine, if you're having problems with CPU on this patch, you can actually go into the channel strips and delete some of the extra ones. So maybe some of the ARP layers, maybe one of the organ layers, maybe the piano, and just keep the glockenspiel. So you can actually optimize it for your computer if you need to. It should run fine though on most machines, certainly pretty much all modern machines. And so yeah, we hope that you pick this song up and add it to your sound library. I'm Ryan, and I hope you have a great day. We'll see you next time.